Good afternoon, this is HorseRacingNation.com handicapper Jared Horak, and we're back with our second video. We just did one for the Risen Star. Now we're going to do the Fountain of Youth. Once again, I'm joined with RacingWithBruno.com's Molly Jo Rosen.
Glad to be back.
This is going to be a good race. We have the top 2-year-old, Violence, undefeated, making his first start as a 3-year-old here. The Fountain of Youth is going to go as the 11th race at Gulfstream Park on Saturday, February 23rd. It's a grade 2 race. They're going to be going a mile on the 16th. This one is for 3-year-olds. And as I mentioned, Violence on number 3 is a morning line favorite at 9 to 5.
He is. We have to remember one thing about this race, just in terms of the race configuration itself and the track configuration. It is a mile and a 16th at Gulfstream, which is a really weird distance. The finish line is the same. It's actually the second one. It's the regular back one that we're all used to. However, we're going to be starting on the turn. Very similar to actually the exact same spot, hopefully, that we were in starting in the grade 3 Holy Bull last time out in the other 3-year-old Derby prep. So it's interesting because a lot of times we saw horses like Dewey Square, like Frack Daddy, get in trouble early and really not be able to recover. I think early speed, inside speed is good when you have for a mile and 16th in this kind of a configuration. I think horses on the outside or towards the outside posts can get into a little bit of trouble if they're not careful, if those jocks aren't careful. Luckily, we have some maybe longer shot prices outside that may not matter as much, but you've got some logical horses like Falling Sky. He's had enough speak logistics. Hopefully those horses don't find themselves in too much traffic trouble. You said it, Violence. He's top of my Derby list right now. I know he's top of yours. He is an incredibly nice animal, undefeated, 3 for 3. What he did in the Cash Call Futurity was, I'm out of adjectives, actually. I have said it so many times and talked about it in so many different ways. You don't run that race at Hollywood Park. Not that late in the meet, not that night, you don't do that. And he is an incredible talent. We're seeing him progress mentally and physically. His last work at Palm Meadows, February 17th against Palace Malice, a minute and 1, not 1:01, a minute and 1 seconds flat. Really, really impressive, given how he did it. You don't see Pletcher throw a lot of bullets out there. Sometimes he's got some horses that want to work a little faster, especially when it's his sprinters. But for him for Violence to have worked the way he did, as easy as he did, as quickly as he did, off the freshening, this is the Pletcher pattern. This is the opposite of what I thought Shanghai Bobby should be able to do. Shanghai Bobby off the layoff, granted, ran a big race in defeat. This race really, this should be Violence's runaway victory, crowning achievement. This should be his coming out party, because it really sets up for him every single thing. This is the Pletcher pattern and the workout pattern, everything. I think this is Violence's coming out party, personally. Yeah,
this is a legitimate favorite here. We tried to beat the favorite in the Risen Star, Normandy Invasion. We do respect that horse, but we were trying to beat him. But Violence, everything is going his way here, I think. There's a lot of speed. As we mentioned, horses showing early pressing speed, breaking from post 1 through 3. Typically dominate races at Gulfstream Park at a mile and a 16th. He's going to sit the perfect trip. There are multiple speed horses. Heavier Castellano is just going to pick his spot and decide when he's going to make his move. He should get the first run. Not a lot of value, but hey, a winner is a winner, and this horse definitely looks like a winner. Let's mention some of the other horses that are going to show speed in here. A Majestic Hussar definitely is one that's going to show speed. El Mutahid for trainer Kieran McLaughlin. We have Ciro for trainer Graham Motion. Sky Captain could even get involved a little bit. Speak Logistics. That's It's My Lucky Days stablemate. And then Falling Sky as well. So there are a lot of horses that have some early pressing speed. And let's just go through and talk about those horses real quick.
Absolutely. It feels a little like Southern California. Lots of horses who want the lead. Majestic Hussar. My only problem is this is not 7 furlongs and it's not in the mud. It's not supposed to rain in Hallandale Beach, Florida for the next couple of days. So he's a nice horse. I think right now we're seeing a lot of, and we see this every year, talented horses that probably want to sprint, be not pushed. They're running in logical spots, in mile and 16th races, but that are being asked to go maybe a little further than they really do want to go. I think Majestic Hussar is a nice horse. I think he's got the speed to take them there. I'm not so sure, as I said, that he really wants the distance. Violence, by the way, in his first 2 starts, and I had forgotten this, had more speed than he showed, which I think could wind up interesting, especially that whole inside post, Gulfstream, on the turn, speed sort of angle. Ciro is interesting. That is the Graham Motion Team Valor. Michael Phelps is in on that horse. 1,000-time Olympic gold medal winner, Michael Phelps. I find it interesting that they said after he won the allowance race last out that they were not going to push him on the Derby Trail, that if he wanted to run there, they'd run him there. They do eventually think he's a grass animal, he's a grass runner, he's a turf horse like Animal Kingdom has turned out to be a turf horse. And, it's talking about the pace scenario, Ciro may be one of those horses that needs the leader spits the bit. Because the 3 races where he's gotten the lead are his 3 really big races. When he broke his maiden in the debut at San Siro in June of last year, all on the lead. When he last out, all on the lead. I think it's interesting, and that might be something to watch just from a mentality standpoint on him. Speak Logistics is interesting to me. Hasn't shown speed in his last 2 starts quite as much, but that was also stepping up against interesting company, Shanghai Bobby and Falling Sky Dynamic Sky. My name is Michael in the Grade 3 Sam F. Davis. Watch the head-on of the Sam F. Davis. It's an incredibly interesting moment right before the quarter pole. Speak Logistics momentum starts to roll, and then he gets sawed off a little bit, kind of bumped into the rail. I believe it was by My Name is Michael, who's the horse that wound up beating him by a length for 3rd. So I think Speak Logistics has a little bit of maybe an excuse last time out. I don't know. He's got to prove that, he is as good as his stablemate, It's My Lucky Day, who's certainly put on quite a performance in the Holy Bull. Falling Sky, second time Terra Nova. We'll see if it looks anything like first time Terra Nova, because it was pretty.
Definitely, he looked good, and I think Ciro, maybe of all the speed horses, he could be the most dangerous, because if he can get out there, and he looks like one. Some of these speed horses, they like to maybe just sit just off the pace. They'd be comfortable taking back just a bit, but if Ciro can get loose, like he did in his other 2 starts, he could be dangerous if the track is really favoring speed, and it always favors speed, but if it's particularly speed favoring, he could be tough to catch. I guess we should mention he's had enough for the I'll Have Another's connections, Mario Gutierrez, Paul Radom, and Doug O'Neill. He just missed in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. He should have won that race. It was speed favoring. He made his move. It looked like he was going to go by Shanghai Bobby, but Shanghai Bobby just was able to outfinish him. But his last couple, the Cash Coffee Charity, he didn't run well. And then he didn't get much pace help in the Robert Lewis. We said there's a lot of speed in this race. That's going to help his cause. But the Breeders' Cup Juvenile has been a negative race. I go back to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile with Hanson and Union Rags and company. All kinds of horses came out of that race. They won graded stakes in their 3-year-old seasons. This Breeders' Cup Juvenile edition, I don't think we've had any horse come out of that race and win a graded race since then.
I don't think so. Kappa Bastogne won an allowance race. Shanghai Bobby got beat. I can't think of a horse right now off the top of my head. What's interesting about He's Had Enough is he's very Dixieland band, is the only way I can say it. He is a big, beautiful, giant, gray, heavy horse. Not a knock on him. He just takes a lot more momentum to get going. He's like a freight train. We saw it in the Breeders' Cup. I think he got really hurt by the rail bias and Shanghai Bobby coming back and hanging a nose on him. But you saw him around the turn, if there's that great shot of the horses coming at you when they take the turn, as we have in so many good races. And you see him just trying for it. And other horses don't have to necessarily try as hard. I certainly hope Mario Gutierrez rides a couple of races on the card on Saturday. I think he needs to get used to the track and the configuration and all the quirks and different things. It's not like going back to Belmont or going out to, Churchill or Keeneland. Gulfstream's a more interesting configuration than most other tracks. And then again, and I will believe that this angle matters, He's Had Enough has one X factor in the barn and on this trip with him in Florida that other guys just don't have. And I know other people are getting a little squirrely about Doug O'Neill. No, he's got Lava Man. The coach made the trip, and that matters. I think when you have a good horse ponying a good horse, a great horse ponying a good horse, it gives him a confidence boost. We saw it with I'll Have Another, and I think we're going to see it with He's Had Enough.
I think Lava Man's going to be chirping in his ear and telling him what to do. Maybe
have you ever watched his lips when he's ponying? And I'm not kidding. I know he tweets at I am Lava Man. It's adorable. He's great. Hashtag geldings are great. But his mouth moves. And I don't know what he's saying or what he's emoting, but I believe it. I believe that Lava Man is coaching all these horses all the way along.
Well, it worked with I'll Have Another. Maybe it'll work with He's Had Enough. I think this race of Violence is going to be my top choice. I just think he's going to sit the right trip. He's the best horse. He's undefeated. I really liked what he did in that cash call. It was his first race around 2 turns. He shipped all the way across country, and he raced on synthetic for the first time. I had a lot going against him, but he was able to win anyway. Like you said, he's training great. He's the best horse in the race, and he should sit the best trip. I'm going to go for a long shot for second. I'm going with number 1, Orb, for trainer Shug McGahee. John Velasquez is going to get aboard this one. He did actually run against Violence in his career debut. He finished 3rd, beating a length and a quarter. A Titletown 5 was second, highly regarded Lucas runner. Then he kind of tailed off in a couple of starts, and then he put it together to break his maiden, beating Revolutionary. Bruno DiGiulio said that he didn't beat Revolutionary. He said Revolutionary had a brutal trip. He wanted to make sure that I said that. But he still finished in front of him, so he did beat him. And then last time he ran at Gulfstream Park at 1 1/8 in an optional claiming race, the same day as Ciro. Ciro won nicely. He ran the faster race. But Orb at Gulfstream Park, as we said, closers don't do well. He got no pace help. He came from last place. He finished fast, and he won nicely. Now, we know there's going to be a lot of pace in here. I think you're going to see some tired front runners. Violence gets the first run. He wins it. Orb passes those tired front runners and finishes second.
I absolutely see it. I think Orb's race came home faster than Ciro's did, in my opinion, when you look at how slow they went in the early splits to how fast they came home. It's a good 2-3 second difference, and I think that matters. And I think when you look at who can train a horse going long and things like that, I really do believe we're looking at 2 of the best guys in the business in Shug McGahee and Graham Motion for the ability to get a horse, keep a horse fit at these longer distances. I was trying to remember the last time Shug McGahee and the Phipps family had a really good dirt horse. I might be wrong, but I think it's Sightseeing. A couple of years back, now had a very nice couple of crops of babies, and unfortunately passed away earlier this year, or late last year. But I think Orb certainly makes the case for it. I think you're going to get a better price on him than you are on Ciro. I think people are going to see Graham Motion, Team Valor, Michael Phelps, and put a little bit more money there. Do not knock the fact that Shug McGahee is 23% at the meet right now. Johnny V, 20%, winning the 2 of them are winning just about everything. And by the way, they're 23% together. Just in case you need one more statistic that tells you that team knows how to win races, dirt, turf, short, long, doesn't seem to matter. Yeah, for me, I see it as Violence. I have to use Speak Logistics because I want to believe that last race was a little different than it needed to be. As much as you've talked about Orb, he's on my list. He's in my super now, as is Ciro. We're going to go with the 2 horses. For underneath reasons, I'm going to go with the 2 horses that are both cutting back from 1 1/8 to 1 1/16.
Well, this is definitely an exciting race this weekend. The Derby Trail is really heating up. These races are precious points that these horses need to earn with the way the Churchills change things. Well, thank you very much for joining me on these videos. I hope you'll come back and do some more videos in the future.
Absolutely, anytime. And just want to remind you, racingwithbruno.com, folks, you can get an amazing amount of information, not only everyday simulcast editions, but our Run for the Roses package, which gives you all of those simulcast editions, as well as some cool Derby Future Wager book stuff that we're doing. One-of-a-kind, subscriber-only information. So check it out, racingwithbruno.com.
And I think it's important information too, because you're giving out not just analysis, but clocker information, very important stuff that can lead you to a horse that you wouldn't normally come up with.
Absolutely, and it's things like knowing how Todd Pletcher trains at Palm Meadows. It's knowing that to see a horse and the pattern of a horse that continually works 101, galloping out in 113, suddenly popping up within a minute or a minute and 1. That says something to me as a handicapper. That says something to me as a clocker. Knowing who these horses are working with really, really matters. And knowing which trainers do what with good horses. It's all those little things that if you haven't factored into your handicapping, or you don't know how to, or you've never even thought about it, now is a really good time to try. Because it's Derby Trail. And you've got a good 2 months, somebody gave me the count a couple days ago, I think we're almost under 100 days to figure out how to handicap the 20 horses that are going to be in the Derby starting gate. So start a little early. Come join us over at Racing with Bruno. We got a lot of cool stuff. So we'll have some fun.
Again, thank you very much for joining me. Until next time, good luck at the races.